Welcome to The Kingstonian, a podcast that profiles people who are passionate about what they do for a living, what organization they belong to, or the community they are a part of. Here is your host, Dave Cunningham.
Thank you, Steve. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Syria is a country we hear about in the news quite often, usually for all the wrong reasons. People there continue to fight to find a way to build a life for themselves and their families during a civil war. There is a new book out that chronicles this struggle. It's called My Road from Damascus, and the author is Jamal Saeed. Jamal tells his own story, growing up in Syria, the good and the bad, life at home with his family, and time in prison for writing about basic human rights, release after a total of 12 years, and a harrowing escape to Lebanon. Eventually, he and his family came to Kingston as refugees in 2016. Here is my conversation with Jamal Saeed. Jamal, welcome to our podcast, and thank you very much for your time today.
Oh, thank you so much, Dave.
Let's remind our listeners that we are recording this conversation in late November 2022. So let me begin by asking you a question. For those of us who have never had the opportunity to visit Syria, and if we forget about the conflicts and the politics, what is it that you love about Syria?
Actually, the area consists of desert, plains, mountains, sea, rivers, and one could love all of that. Mm-hmm. This is geographically. The other thing, actually, I love the simple-hearted people. I love the culture there, the generous people. And, for me, as a person who lived about 55 years continuously in Syria, everything is formal for me. I love the shape of clouds. I love the shape of rocks, the woods, the desert. I feel that I know them well. Mm-hmm. And as if they know me well, as if there's a kind of friendship with the place and with the people and with the customs, with everything there.
There are different kinds of cultures in Syria, are there not? Yeah. Influences from different other countries with people who have come to Syria?
Yes, we can say that there are a lot of people or a lot of nationalities and races in Syria, maybe about 18. Mm-hmm. And actually they live together. Mm-hmm. And in general, they are Syrians first.
Right.
But because of the conflict and, because of policy and sometimes some people wash the brains of the people who are able, their brains are able to be washed. Then they became sects and races before being Syrians. Yeah. But in general, we were Syrians first, and then sects and races and nationalities.
Politics.
Politics did a bad thing sometime.
Right.
Yes.
Let's talk about growing up in Syria.
Yeah.
When you were at home with your parents, and what was life like for you as you were a kid growing up?
Okay. I grew up in a green village in a slope of a mountain. Actually, it looks like Whistler in Canada.
Okay.
It's surrounded it's surrounded with mountains, and it's between these mountains. It's a place for dreaming. I played with the clouds and with the wind. I talk with the trees. I love the rivers. Actually, many times I imagined many things when I was alone near the river looking at the sky. For example, many times, suppose there's something wrong in my life, I look at the clouds and as if there's a movie in the sky and make my hero overcome the others. For example, I feel that our cows is the best. She's running in the sky. Yeah. It's a place for dreaming. It's a place for growing up with a very, very warm friendship with the elements of the nature.
Now I understand why you're a writer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very creative. Let's talk about education. You went to high school in Syria.
Right.
And I think you were getting ready to go to university.
Right.
Right? And would you be able to go to university in the same town in which you went to high school, or did you have to go somewhere else in Syria?
Yeah. Actually, when I was young, there were only 2 universities in Syria. One in the capital, the city of Damascus, and the other was in Aleppo. And later, new universities established in Latakia and in Homs, in other cities. Anyway, I had to go to Damascus, but actually because I had to live underground at the time, I went to Damascus to hide, not to study at the university. I finished my high school in my own village. Yeah, but at the time, as many dreamers who want to change the world, I tried my best to do something, and this caused being, followed by the intelligence, by the secret police.
Secret police.
Yes,
okay.
secret police, yes.
Okay.
And then I escaped to Damascus. I was lucky that they didn't catch me at the time. But later, I was good. Anyway, at the time, to complete your study in the university, you had to depart to another city, not in the same city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go back a little bit. When you were thinking about going to university, what were you going to study? What was your plan?
Actually, I planned to study a kind of oil engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oil engineering.
Yes,
Okay.
oil engineering. And the family wanted me to be a doctor.
Okay.
The doctor in Syria means a high rank.
Okay.
But me, myself, want to study oil engineering to live with the workers at the time. This is my way of thinking.
Yeah.
And to make a great and powerful organization of the poor people. This is the reason at the time. And but because I was, because the raid of the Mukhabarat, this is the name of the secret police.
Mukhabarat.
Mukhabarat, yes.
Okay, secret police. All
yes,
right.
secret police.
Now, why were they looking for you?
Yeah.
What were you doing that they did not like?
Actually, it was a kind of writing and speaking about the importance of democracy, the importance of social justice, the importance of sharing the ladies in the life. They should have job. They should
Equal
have,
rights for
yes,
women.
yes,
Okay.
the equality between men and women, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah,
Okay.
and the right to express yourself as you want, and something like that. Yeah, it will be astonished for the people in the West now. Nobody is going to be arrested or to be asked if he say or speak or write about these subjects.
Right.
Yeah, a long time ago. But actually, in our country, it's a problem. Yes.
Now, was Hafez al-Assad in charge at that particular point, or is that before him?
No, actually, Hafez Assad was in his position as a president in 1970.
1970.
Yes,
Okay.
until 2000.
Okay.
Then I was hired in 1978.
Okay.
It was Hafiz al-Assad time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So eventually,
Mm-hmm.
they caught up to you
Yeah.
and they put you in prison,
Yes.
right? So I read that you spent a total of 12 years
Yes.
in prison,
Yes.
but you were never charged with a crime and you were never tried,
Right.
right? So you went, when I read the book, you were going from prison to prison,
Right.
and some were worse than others.
Right.
And I was intrigued when you were talking about being in jail, in prison, and you were in a cell, and there were 50 other people in the cell, 50, 60 other people. How big was the cell? Paint us a picture of the room that you were in when you were in prison with the other people. How many people were?
Okay. It depends on the prison. The most crowded prison is the investigation branch, the military investigation branch, when they, investigate us and tortured us. The room was about, I can remember by meters, it was about by 8 by 6
Meters.
meters, yes. 48 square meters. But the people at the place were 85
People.
people, yes, 85 in that place. So we don't have enough room to sleep together. Somebody had to get up, had to stand up. But people sat down and the others slept.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, for example, my portion of laying down was 4 hours.
4 hours.
4 hours only to lay down and sleep. Then, sometimes we slept while we are sitting because there's no place, no room. It's a very, very crowded place. The other prisons, the other one which was crowded is Tadmor prison. It's also so crowded. But because they put the people according to their, they charge them in something. They think that these are communists, these are nationalists, these are liberals, these are something like that. The people who are liberals and communists or something like that were the minority. So the place was not so crowded, but it was crowded. Everybody may have about 45 centimeters to lay on.
Right.
On the wide, and about 170 centimeters long. Yes.
So not much space at
No,
all.
not much space.
I'm intrigued with the fact that even though you were all in prison in the same cell,
Yes.
there are different groups, and some groups didn't want to be sleeping or standing next to others. And I think you said that your group was a smaller group, was in the minority. And the name I recognized from the news was the Muslim Brotherhood,
Yes.
which I think most people in the West would recall from when Egypt changed governments a few years ago.
Right.
They were predominant for a while. So you had, now would the Muslim Brotherhood be left or right in
Okay.
politics? Would they be...
Actually, they are, in general, right.
Right.
They are conservatives.
conservative?
And-
Okay.
From this organization, actually, this organization split many times, and some people who were Muslim brothers became a kind of jihadi boys who fight and use guns and made a kind of militia.
Right.
Yeah. Many times the people develop to be more fanatic, not to be not to be more mediate or moderate or something like that. And what was called in Syria the fighting pioneer, in Arabic الطليعة المقاتلة, In English, we can translate it into fighting pioneer of Muslim brothers. Actually, they were so fanatic. And they are going to kill anybody just because of his ID.
Right.
If he is not from the same sect, or because of his thoughts.
What he was thinking.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the other things I'd like you to talk a little bit about is that I can recall reading that guards would come to the door when you were in the cell, and they would wake people up or say, okay, Jamal, get your things, you're moving.
Right.
You're going somewhere else. And so in your mind, you're thinking, well, am I going to be freed? Am I going to another prison? Are they going to kill me at this particular point? What was going through your mind when the guards came to the door and said, pick up your stuff, you're leaving?
Okay. When you hear your name at the very beginning, you will be very anxious. You might be called to be investigated again. They will ask you more questions. But actually, it depends. When you are in investigation branch and they call you that you are collect your things, that means you are going to another prison. But we have different prisons. You may go to a military prison like Tadmor, which is one of the worst prisons all over the world, and you may go to a prison like the civil prison, Al-Qal'a. Anyway, you have some rights there. And you may go to a prison in between them, which was Al-Mazza. But, you are dreaming all the time to be released. And many times you write in the paper, releasing. It doesn't mean release you to go to your house. It's releasing from one prison to another. At the first time when I read this releasing, I was so happy. But when they cuffed my hands, I said, why? It might be a kind of wrong. Something wrong happened. But when they took me to another prison, they made a joke and made a fun of me. They said, okay, this is the place for summer. You spent the winter at that prison, and this is a new place for summer. Yeah. So the prisoner, suppose you are in the civil prison.
Right.
And they told you that they are going to take you to someplace else. Or they asked you to collect your things. In this case, you will be upset because the civil prison is good. It's not good. There's no prison which we can say that it's good. But it's bad. The others are worse.
Right. It's not as bad.
Yes. So, in this case, you will be upset and feel sad, and you began to try to hope that you are not going to the worst. The worst, maybe. You
Right.
hope that you are going to the worst, not to the worst. Yeah.
Now, while you are in prison, you are writing,
Right.
right? You are making notes, you are writing little stories, you're painting as well, right?
Right.
Okay. And this is just to keep your mind busy
Right.
when you're in prison? Is this the start of you writing?
Actually, it's not to keep my mind busy. It's to keep my mind healthy.
Right. Which is better than busy.
Yes. In prison, when I was isolated in a cell, I collected the small rocks that comes inside the food, especially the soup, the lentil soup. And I began to arrange them on the blanket and to make scenes. I write words, I write names. The name of the girl I loved, the maple tree, the tree in front of our house, the seat of my grandpa, something like that.
Yeah.
And after some time, I could make a kind of chess. I began to play chess with myself. So I was the two players, the audiences, the judge, the commenter. I was many people in one. This is a kind of losing mind to keep it.
Now let's talk about the day when you found out that you were leaving prison, that you were being freed.
Okay. Actually, at the time, I was so anxious and so exciting. And when I get out the prison, when I put my foot, the first step on the street, I don't feel I'm walking. I felt that I'm flying. Mm-hmm. I felt that, wow, I want to go to all places at 1 second. I missed many places, many people, many streets, many restaurants, many cafes. I want to meet them at 1
all at
second.
Once.
Yes,
yeah.
At once, yeah. The first thing I had done was walking to the last room I rented in the city of Damascus. I wanted to drink coffee in that room, and actually I get to the door, but I didn't knock the door. I told myself, don't begin your new life with a foolish thing.
Right.
The people inside may
Don't
ask
know
you, who are you? And, then I turned back. I told myself, okay, go and try to see the girl you loved before you was arrested. I went to her neighborhood and I walked in the streets looking. I wanted a miracle to happen and to see her, on the walk side, getting out a building suddenly in some store, but I didn't find her. And I made fun of myself and told myself, what are you looking for? As the one who are looking about a needle in a straw, a pile
needle
of
in
straw.
A haystack. Yeah.
Yes. So I stopped that and went to my uncle's house. Unfortunately, there were nobody inside the house. So I took a bus to visit somebody else. He is my cousin. Mm-hmm. It's only one bus stop between the two houses. Everything was strange. The first taxi I took, in general, we took the taxi in the same distance, for 3 or 4 Syrian pounds. I have only 50 Syrian pounds. I give it to the driver and he said, okay, thank you. I said, what are you saying? He said, okay, there's numbers on something. This was not familiar with us. We don't know that before. Mm-hmm. I said, okay, this is a calculator. Yeah, and then you have to pay 45.
Or the meter in the taxi.
Yes,
okay.
A meter in the taxi, yes.
Okay.
And then...
You had to pay 45 Syrian pounds?
Yes.
And you had 50?
Yes, in 12 years, it moved from 3 to 4, 5 pounds to 45. Yes. Yeah.
Now, let's tell folks, how much is 1 Syrian pound?
Now?
Yeah.
1 Canadian dollar equal 4,000 Syrian pounds.
Okay. So $1 Canadian is 4,000 Syrian pounds.
Yes.
Okay. So we have an idea how much a Syrian pound is. Okay.
It was before, about in suppose 2010, before the Civil War, the Canadian dollar was about 37, suppose. Yes, I suppose it was
37 Syrian pounds.
But now it's 4,000.
So the value of the Syrian pound has gone down quite a bit. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you are out of prison.
Yeah.
And at some particular point, you get together with your future wife.
Right.
And so when did you get married?
We get married on July 21, 1999.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were living in what city then?
In Damascus.
In Damascus.
Yes.
And you eventually had 2 boys.
Right.
Okay. Talk about the house that you lived in as a family in Damascus.
Okay. The first house, we rented at the very beginning a house, but after 1 month, all my friends pushed me to buy a house. And actually, I at the time, I didn't have money, and there's no mortgage or something like Canada. So I told them, okay, I have about 4,000 Syrian pound. Take them and have a house for me. Have just a toilet. It's impossible in Damascus. They said, okay, we are going to give you money and you will turn them back when you have.
So they're
No
lending you
rush.
money
No
and there's
rush,
no
yes.
rush to pay back.
Yes, no rush to pay
And
back.
these are friends of yours
Yes,
that are going to lend
all
you
of
money.
them are friends.
Okay.
So I could have a house. Actually, it's in a high mountain in Damascus. Not so high. Yeah, but you can find the river of Barada, and you can find the green trees near the river, and it's a view. It's a great view. We could see the road from Damascus to Beirut, and it was about 20 kilometers, less than 20, about 17 kilometers from the center of the downtown of Damascus.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, are you a gardener? Do you like to grow plants?
Of course, because my father and mother are farmers.
Okay.
And I used to deal with, with plants. When in the first 17 years in my life, I lived in the village. I watered the plants, I planted them, I did a lot. So when I had a garden in Damascus, I began to plant many things. Trees and vegetables and flowers and roses. Yeah.
And you had fruit trees as well, right?
Yes,
Okay.
of course.
So this was all in the house that you had in Damascus with your wife and 2 sons.
Right.
Get back to education for a minute. And so your boys are going to school
Yes.
at this particular point. And describe, that's something that I was curious about. So when the boys went to school, they would get on a bus
Right.
and they would travel a certain distance to get to the school.
Right.
And they had to go through checkpoints,
Right.
correct?
Right.
What were these people at the checkpoints looking for? And was it dangerous for your boys?
Okay. The boys had to pass through checkpoints after 2011. Before that, there were no checkpoints. And I choose this far school because it's good school. It's better than the near school with,
Close to you.
Yeah, they were a close school, but I found 2 boys have knives in the school. Then I said, no, I'm going to take my 2 boys to that far school. Anyway, the checkpoints after 2011 are just for many reasons. The first reason, to show people that the government have power to do whatever it wants.
Right. They're in charge.
Yes.
Yeah.
The second point was, some places there's a kind of demonstrations at some places. So the buses that go to these places had to be actually tortured, and sometimes they took the food from them. And the third thing, actually, the militias in these checkpoints may do anything with my sons, with anybody.
Right.
They may hit him, do so, and they say bad words. And sometimes, a child or a teenager may say no, or I'm not a dog, or,
Yeah.
you know, and then they may hit him and do a bad thing with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. At this particular time, who's in charge in Syria?
Bashar al-Assad.
So the son
The
of
son
Hafez.
of Hafiz al-Assad, yes.
Okay. We have a civil war
Yes.
that is going on at
Right.
this point.
Right.
So you have the regime on one side.
Yes.
Who are the others?
Okay. The peaceful people who were in the demonstration could be described as dreamers, liberals, communists, some nationals who want democracy, who want to make a kind of state of law to continue their conflict in the parliament,
Right.
not in the streets.
Nonviolent.
Yes,
Yeah.
non-violent.
Yeah.
But the others actually were, in general, Islamic militias.
Okay.
Yes, and most of them were fanatic. So they want to make a kind of Islamic state. For me, it looks like Taliban in Afghanistan,
Right.
or looks like the Islamic Republic in Iran. For me, it's a kind of fascism.
Right.
Yeah, and actually, I felt that we are between two beasts. We are. This is bad, and this. All the people who had guns, in general, except very, very few, people, all of them were killer and murderer. Yes.
Okay. In Syria at that time, what is the relationship between Muslims and Christian? Is Syria a Muslim country? Or are most of the people Muslims in Syria?
Okay, actually, the Muslim people in Syria is about 70%.
70.
70%. The others, the minorities, are about 30%. The Christians might be about, actually, I'm not sure, but they might be about between 6 to 8%, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and because many Christians departed Syria, moved out of
Okay.
Syria a long
Left.
time ago, and the Christians actually divided. Some of them supported the regime, some of them supported the people who works against the regime, but in general they were liberals, not
Right.
fanatic. Yeah,
Okay.
they were against the regime because it's a kind of dictatorship. Yeah, not because they are Christians.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Muslims actually kidnapped some figures of the Christian religious people, maybe 3 or 4, and the ISIS attacked a Christian village in it's between Damascus and Homs in the road, and they killed few people and they tried to make the others Muslim by the force, but it takes about 1 month, and they actually, the people fought them, and the regime actually fought them, and they withdrew. So if I want to speak about Christians in Syria, I can say that there were no Christians hold guns or something like that. But they have great ideas. Some of them were leaders of the peaceful
Nonviolent
opposition.
group. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
They oppose the regime because it is a dictator.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them maybe exaggerate and try to think of they can do a kind of alliance with the Muslims against the regime. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. At some point, you decide that you and your family have to leave Syria.
Right.
So you make contact with Abu Anas and his
Yes.
bride,
Right.
and you sit down and you talk with him
Yes.
about leaving.
Yes.
So describe that meeting. What is he asking you to do?
Okay. Actually, he wanted, Abu Anas is a driver who want some money
Yep.
to take me to Beirut. And for me, I was so anxious and I want the road to be peaceful. At the same time, I don't know if I had to trust Abu Anas or not. I don't know if he is agent for the intelligence
Right.
or not. So I can't say everything. I couldn't tell him that I might be wanted. But I can tell him that how to pay to have the road without problems at all. So
So
he
bribe
began
money
to-
is what we're
yes.
talking about. Okay.
He was talking about the difficulties in the road and just to rise up the money he wanted me to pay. And I was speaking about something else, about how could we be safe from our house to the airport in Beirut.
And how long is that distance?
Oh, actually, it is about, in general, it's about 300, less than 300 kilometers.
Okay.
It's about 4 hours. But during the war, and there are about 12 checkpoints, and it takes about more than 7 hours. It takes more than 8 hours.
To get from
Damascus, from my house. My house is in the west of Damascus, so Beirut in the west also.
Yes.
So I'm nearer to Beirut from the center of Damascus or from the downtown.
So it's
From-
8 hours to go from your house to
Yeah.
Beirut
Yes,
on a road that's only 300 kilometers long.
yes.
Okay. Now, we should clarify that when we talk about Abu Anas and his bride is his car.
Yes.
Okay, that's what he calls his car.
Yes.
So you have the four of you and Abu Anas in the car and all of your luggage in the back, and you're heading to Beirut.
Right.
What was the plan after you got to Beirut? You were going to take a plane to
Yes.
go where?
Actually, we had a ticket to go to Dubai, and we had a visa to get to Dubai. We planned to go to Dubai, and in Dubai, we may have a kind of job, and we may settle for some time. This was the plan.
Okay, so you get to Dubai
Right.
and you get your apartment
Right.
and you have a little job going.
Right.
But then you decided that maybe our future is not in Dubai.
Right.
And why was that?
Right. Okay. Dubai is slippery under the feet.
Is
You
it-
couldn't.
It's slippery under the feet.
Slippery,
Okay.
yeah, it is slippery under the feet. Yes. Why? If you live 100 years in Dubai, you couldn't be a citizen. Every year you have to renew your residency.
Okay.
And suddenly, and for a reason you may not know, they say, okay, we are not going to renew your residency. This is the first point. Then you have to, it's not easy for the Syrian people at the time to move from one place to another.
Right.
It's not easy to have a visa from the countries. This is the first. The second point, if you lost your job in Dubai, then you will live in the street. There's no food.
Homeless.
Yeah, you will be homeless.
Yeah.
Third thing, suddenly a company or a firm cleaned down, destroyed, and a new one comes up. And you don't know why. The economy there in Dubai moved like that. So you don't know if the company you are working in will be declined or get up. You know nothing about that. these are the reasons that made me think that it's not secure to continue my life in Dubai, especially for the boys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Somehow Canada comes into play here.
Yes.
How did that come about? Why did you decide on Canada?
Actually, I didn't decide. What's happened is like that. In Syria, before getting out of Syria, one day a great explosion took place. And my elder son comes crying, trying not to show that he is crying, and told me, Dad, try to do something for us. And that day, it was in May 2013. I sent an email to ICORN. It's an international organization in Norway, protected writers and artists and journalists.
Okay.
I sent them, this is what's happened. Can you help me? And they said, after a week, oh, okay, we can, but there are about 12,000 people need to be protected. And we asked the cities, we need a city to accept you.
Right.
I said, okay. After 2 years, we get to Dubai. In Dubai, when I get to Dubai, I told ICON that, okay, I'm in Dubai. I'm peaceful now. They said that you think that you are peaceful. and later,
But wait till we tell you what's really going on.
Yeah. Anyway, we are not going to delete your name, but we are going to freeze on it. This is your number. After 2 years, when I began to feel that Dubai is slippery and it's not easy to continue living, and actually it was by chance, ICON told me that there's a committee of writers in Kingston are going to sponsor a writer and his family. Would you like to go there? I told them, yes, without hesitating. But I have some questions.
Where's Kingston?
Yeah. And then, actually, Ray Argyle from Kingston sent me an email, welcomed me and my family. I asked him my 2 questions. The first about the education of the 2 sons, and the second about a job for us, me and my wife.
Yeah.
And he was very honest. He answered me, and actually I found that later when I came that he's a great man. Anyway,
This is Ray Argyle? Is that
Ray Argyle,
okay.
yes. Then after a few months, we came to Canada and to Kingston. And actually, at the very beginning, when we landed at the very beginning, it was December 28th, a lot of snow. And we came from Dubai, where you feel there's a dryer from the sky over your head. So,
How much snow do you get in Syria?
how much?
Snow is there in Syria?
Okay, actually it is snow 1 or 2 times a year in my village. In Damascus also once every 2 years maybe, and we celebrate snow in Syria. We began to play snow. Old people, young people, children all throw
Snowballs.
Yes, snowballs to each other.
But the snow is never really deep in Syria.
No, it's not. It's deep just in 3 places.
Okay.
There's a high mountain called Slumfi. In this high mountain, it might be about 70 centimeters to 1 meter, something like that, in the high mountain. It's and in Jabal Sheikh Mountain. Now, actually, it's from Golani Heights, and Israel control the area.
Yeah.
And the third place called the Blue Dan, it's not far from Damascus. And actually, you can find the snow like in Kingston. All the time in winter, it's snowing and snowing, but it's about 70 centimeters, something like that. Yeah.
So you land in Canada in December,
Yes,
and you come to Kingston.
right.
What was your first impression of Kingston?
Actually, in short, I feel that it's cold weather and warm people. And the other thing, actually, when I watch the streets from the window and looking at the snow, where's the stores? Where's the children who are playing with the snow? Every now and then, an old lady with a dog, or old man with a dog. But that's all. Nothing outside. Snow, everything is white. The sky is gray. But inside the house, I lived in Ray's house for about 8 days. 8 or 10 days. 10 days, actually. During the time, a man who was 88 years old was cooking for us and feeding us. And I feel I have a Canadian father, a Canadian family. And when I met the people in the city hall or in Keys Job Center or in the downtown, and they knew that I'm Syrian, they were very, very warm and good people. Something happened in the bars. Somebody asked me and my wife to get back to my country because we will take the taxes he paid for the government or we will have his job.
Yeah.
I pretended that I don't understand anything and looked at him as if I am a foolish man. But the people of the bars, all the people, began to apologize from me and my wife and asked him not to say anything like that. And strong lady asked him to shut up.
Well, that's good.
This gives me an idea about the city. You may face a kind of challenge, but the people protect you.
Yeah, discrimination.
The people protect you from the discrimination. You don't need to call the police.
Right. Now, what are you looking for as you make your home here in Kingston? What is the future for Jamal Saeed?
Okay. For me, I have something to tell the others also. I have some maybe novels and short stories. I have some books to write. And I'd like that I'll do them well to be published and to be read by the others. I'd like to see that the two sons do well, and actually we have to pay something to this Canada, to our new homeland. Canada gave us a new opportunity, and we would like to give back something to the new homeland. For me, actually I'm not so old, but I'm in the future now. I'd like to fix my teeth and fix my body. And
wouldn't we all?
Yes. So the most important thing for me is the future of the two sons.
Now, the two sons are in university now? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
One of them is in University of Toronto. He is studying electrical engineering. The second one, the younger, is in McMaster.
Okay.
He is studying health science.
He's studying what?
Health science.
Health science.
Yes.
At McMaster.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, we are glad that you and your family are safe. And congratulations on the book. And I don't think we've mentioned the title of the book. It's called My Road from Damascus.
My Road from Damascus, yes.
And I hope our listeners take the time to go to the store and buy a copy of your book. And it's been a pleasure spending some time with you this afternoon, and all the best. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much. It's my pleasure and honor to meet you, Dave.
Our guest in this episode, Jamal Saeed, the author of My Road from Damascus. To those of you listening, thank you. talk soon.
The theme music for the podcast is Stasis Oasis, written and performed by Kingston musician Tim Aylesworth. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions about any of the episodes, please send a note to thekingstonianpodcast at gmail.com. For details on upcoming guests, follow us on Facebook. The Kingstonian Podcast is hosted by Dave Cunningham and produced in Kingston, Ontario, Canada.